radical.
Alright, the election results in Iceland are finally in. Well, I mean, the results were already in since October 28th when we actually had the election, but finally, we actually have a government. 3 parties were able to form a coalition and form a government. We are no longer a governmentless country here in Iceland. So, now I'm going to tell you all about the perhaps strangest coalition government that you'll ever hear about for a while. As I said, 3 political parties came together and created a coalition. It was the right-wing business-friendly Sjálfstæðisflokkur, or Independence Party, and the left-leaning Social Democratic-ish party, the Left Greens, or Vinstri Grænir. They say kinda social democratic because they have their origin in a no longer active political party called the Commons People Party and the Commons People Alliance. These were 2 different parties with ridiculously similar sounding names, and the Commons People Party were often referred to as Kratar, short for Democrats. Yeah, because they were kind of social democrats. But I'll maybe upload another video where I actually explain the history and origins of different political parties here in Iceland. But right now, let's just focus on this coalition. Yeah, as I said, we have the right-wing Independence Party, the left-wing Left Green, and smack down and right in the middle, with a party that got around 10% of the votes, is the Progressive Party. Yeah, which is more of a centrist progressive party. Yeah, so a very broad government, and definitely not one that's easily pulled off. I mean, it's not every day that like your most left-leaning party walks up to the most right-leaning parties and says, "Hey, we can definitely work something out." Okay, so people are very nervous and anxious and don't have a lot of faith in this coalition, but there's also some room for optimism here. So I'm actually going to try to. I'm not going to go into my personal opinion because honestly I just have no idea how this will go with this new coalition. I'm mainly just excited to just see how this all unfolds. So I'm going to just list the possible pros and possible cons of this government, and just gonna kind of guess where things are headed here. So in order to explain how this government even came to be, we need to first talk a little bit about the Independence Party, as I said, as you may remember, the right-leaning, business-friendly party. So they've had quite a few political scandals recently. Some would argue throughout all of their history, but that's neither here nor there. We're focusing on things that have happened mainly around the 2008 financial crash and since then. And here's the thing: they had the highest amount of votes in the last election. They got 25 point something% of the votes, so a quarter of the population voted for them. But here's the thing, though: all of those people who didn't vote for them really don't want to have them in the government. Really don't. So you have this quarter of the population that is, some would say, indoctrinated. I don't want to go that far. I say they're just misinformed. Okay, god damn it, it's hard to be unbiased. But no. I think there's solid arguments and solid reasons for why people vote for these guys, and I don't blame them. They have often brought great economic and political stability. Political stability is something I'm going to talk about a lot also in this video. Prepare to hear me say that word very often. Bjarni Benediktsson, this guy, the younger of the 2 prime ministers that have borne that name? Whatever. Yeah, he has been plagued with a lot of corruption scandals as of late. You may say, oh then, why hasn't he been impeached if he's so corrupt? Because he's not that corrupt that he can be easily impeached. Like, he's never been caught, you know, with his handful of money that he couldn't account for. No, he always manages to crawl himself out of a bad situation reasonably intact. But yeah, a lot of distrust in the Independence Party. So not many people wanted to work with them. So they tried. So the second biggest party, the left-green movement, tried to form a coalition government on their own with some more left-leaning parties, like I think the Pirate Party and also the Progressive Party, Framsóknarflokkur, and some others. But for whatever reason it simply didn't work out, because left-wing political parties in Iceland are super weird and find it very difficult to work with one another. Which is usually always one of their biggest downfalls, is that they can't agree on the most minor issues, and have some sort of governmental collapse or split, or people splinter out of them. And for example, now when this new coalition government was announced, actually 2 senators from the left-green movement actually resigned because they were opposed to it. But as I said, so they were unable to form a left-wing coalition government. So after that, all the political parties and the leaders got together, for what seemed like weeks on end, because it was weeks on end, literally. And in the end, somehow they managed to pull together a coalition where the left-green movement would work with the Independence Party, and I'm guessing that the Progressive Party is supposed to act like a mediator between the two, because obviously they had the least amount of votes out of these 3 parties. But being more of a centrist party, they can kind of pull the other two, towards them, and mediate all the left versus right issues and pressures. Now, political instability has been very rampant here in Iceland ever since the financial fiasco of 2008, but it's been especially bad, okay, not as bad as maybe 2008 and 2009, but still, last 2 years have been pretty bad. We've had 2 coalition governments that have had to resign, and new elections have been called for because, well, there have been scandals, but there's also just I don't want to say there's a lot of extremism, but basically it's been difficult for people of different faction and ideologies to come together and work out their differences in peace and harmony, like we usually were able to pull off in the decades before 2008. So this is the underlying problem here in Iceland, in my opinion: political instability. I mean, there are problems with our healthcare system that we need to fix. We have too few police officers and not enough living quarters for all of our old people, in retirement homes and such. So there's a lot that has to be improved in Icelandic society right now. But here is the thing: you cannot improve any of these things if you don't have a government that can sit out a full 4-year period. They just won't be able to fix any of the problems if they don't even have the time to do so. And I think this is why this might be either a disastrous coalition government or actually a genius one. You see, all parties involved recognize this. The right wing recognizes this, and the left wing recognizes this as well. I just realized when you watch it in my video, this is probably going to be right and this is going to be left. But this is my right and this is my left. So whether you have a left-wing government or a right-leaning government or a centrist or whatever, here's the thing: none of them are going to be able to accomplish anything if we have so much political instability. So what I think happened here is that Katrín Jakobsdóttir, who is our new Prime Minister, the leader of the left-green party, she's, by the way, our 2nd female Prime Minister, just so that throw that in there, and among the younger ones, I think, but not the youngest, I know that for a fact. I think she's 40, 41. Oh yeah, and on the other side, Bjarni Benediktsson, also realizing that he would not get any of his preferred legislation passed if he didn't have enough time and momentum behind him to get them passed. And this has been the problem in the past 2 years, because our government simply didn't last long enough to basically do anything, or at least not very much. So here's, I think, what happened is that they just came together and realized that in order just to be able to get anything done and to create a more stable future for for all of Iceland, they need to be able to put aside their differences to work together. Now, whether or not it'll work, here's where the Progressive Party comes in very neatly, because, you know, they can just pull the other two further to them, further to the center, and be like, hey, Katrin, hey, Bjarni, stop arguing, okay, chill, okay. How about we dial down the tax raises just a little bit, okay, how about we do not deregulate as much, and, you know, oh, by the way, my party is very big in the rural areas, how about we build some more roads, how would that be, create some jobs, you know, some infrastructure, you know, get more people to move out of the city to the rural area. So I think the Progressive Party is probably the one that is getting the most out of this government. This is, I mean, for getting only 10% of the votes, this is probably the best position they could ever be in. That is, if the government lasts. But only time will tell. For some reason, Katrin Jakobsdóttir has been the most in the limelight of the press in the last few weeks during this governmental creation process thingy, which I don't have a proper English term for. And which is odd because, I mean, she pulls a lot of strings. I mean, she is not Prime Minister, but takes two to tango, or in this case three, so I don't know why there wasn't that much focus on Bjarni Benediktsson and his part in the creation of this coalition, but I think what happened also is that Bjarni Benediktsson, he's not an idiot. I mean, he's not a genius, definitely not, but he's definitely no idiot. And he realized that, you know, I'm kind of unpopular here, and like, okay, 25% of the people voted for me, but the other 75 hate me. So, okay, maybe Prime Minister is not going to be my best gig right now, so he's going to be Minister of Finance instead, which I want to say he has had that position once before. I think he did okay. I mean, the economy didn't crash or anything. It grew. It became even more stable. I mean, he was basically working out of the groundwork that the government before him had done, but again, that's neither here nor there. So this is a very smart political move on his part, basically to step back a little bit, get the left Greens in there, you know, maybe maybe allow them to carry out some of their policies, although somewhat watered down, obviously. Like there's going to be almost no changes to our taxing system. Like there's going to be a mini mushy increase in I think corporate tax rate, or I don't know, it's like 1.5% or something. It's like not even worth a sweat. And this is also possibly a very smart political move for Katrin Jakobsdóttir. Again, she gets to be Prime Minister, which is always a nice thing to have in your resume. And you know, if they make it 4 years and they actually create a stable government that lasts, you know, she can always get back and say, hey, like, I'm a good mediator. I can work with people with opposing views, and we can together create stability, which is a very nice. Which, like, if it works, I think it's a very risky move on her part. But if it were to work, if like in the next 4 years the government stays stable, and you know there will be no more scandals and fiascos. And if there will be no more scandals and fiascos, so then this might be going down in history as probably one of our most remembered coalition governments. Might be, I mean, there's a chance here, I'm not saying it's very likely, but this is sort of a anything goes situation. Like, I can picture everything from this being one of our most successful governments ever, or just one of those things that you just are gonna laugh at in the past and just be like, what the hell were they thinking? Gosh. So, yeah, I'm overexcited because I'm very curious to see how this will all play out with them. And, you know, I think, and on its own, I think Katrin Jakobsdóttir will probably will probably be a very good Prime Minister. There was an interesting poll recently, even though her party only got around, I think, 16% of the votes. After the election and all the government forming process was taking place, there was a poll out that said that 49-point-something% of Icelanders would prefer her to be prime minister. Didn't say anything if they would vote her party or not, but they were like, but basically the poll was like, nah, of all the politicians we see on the news every day who would like to have prime minister, like, I think this is also a red thread in this whole thing. Like I said, the people who didn't vote for the Independence Party generally really don't like them, really don't want to see them in power anymore. However, even though a lot of people didn't vote for the left-green movement, there's a lot of people that are like, I didn't vote for, like, I won't imagine how many times, when I meet somebody, or when you meet somebody who votes for the Independence Party, it's always like, all or nothing kind of thing. So, oh, you vote for the Independence Party? It's like, yeah, you vote for the Independence Party like me, yeah, high five. Or it's less like, shame on you, shame on you. But if you meet somebody who votes like the left-green party, it's like, oh, you voted for the left-green? I voted for the Pirate Party myself, but yeah, I like those two. I could see them working together. Same shit goes with the Progressive Party and even some of these new parties like Viðreisn or the People's Party, Flokkur Fólksins. Viðreisn means Renaissance? Doesn't matter, it's a stupid name even in Icelandic. So yeah, exciting times coming here in Iceland. This was my attempt of trying to be as unbiased as possible and just trying to give you my thoughts on what might be happening here with this government. But it's definitely very exciting to see. Okay, and maybe later I'll make a video where I talk about more about the individual parties themselves, or in some of these individual politicians. Especially curious to see. I think there's going to be around 50 new senators. We have 63 Senate seats in Iceland, by the way, and I'm kind of curious to see who these new people are. Anyway, thank you for watching, and like and subscribe.
Das Radikal.